Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I am an addiction recovery coach and a host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share this about substance abuse, and let me be crystal clear with you to leave an everlasting impact. Just imagine being buried alive. Let's say you're in the coffin, but you also know you're not dead. You don't know how to open the coffin and push the enormous weight of the dirt above the lid. You think about giving up and waiting for death to arrive, gasping for the last breath. But you also think about banging on the coffin so that maybe you can unsettle the dirt above, and maybe, just maybe, somebody standing by your grave might see the dirt and start digging down towards you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help, you know you can't do it on your own, but you also don't know where to turn for help. In reality, those people standing up there would have helped you. You didn't know that. Now you're in the coffin, waiting for death to arrive. Usually, though, people don't think about death when habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you were abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you can take away what God gave you, your precious life? You take it away from yourself, you take it away from your children, your husband, your wife, your partner, your mother, your father. That selfish act by abusing drugs and alcohol will cause you to lose your life. With this, I leave you with one last thought. Don't be the person on these index cards that I'm reading about, laying in a coffin, could have gotten help had they reached out. Be the person that reaches out. Reach out to me at 844-405-HELP, or you can reach out to a person like Larry Geis with over 30 years of experience as a life coach, an addiction recovery coach. You can find him at www.odysseyconsultant.org, or you can call him at 516-458-2741. Larry Geis is an addiction recovery coach. He will help you go from low self-esteem to higher self-esteem, from depression to better moods and better life, from addiction to recovery, from just any life situation to a better situation. Larry and I always tell our clients, it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter where you've been. What matters is where you're going, where you are. What matters is that you are reaching out to all of us today saying, I need help. Give Larry a call at 516-458-2741. Larry Geis from the Geis Academy, www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. Let him and I help take your life back. GlobalEyeglasses.com. If your video's out of focus, it's not the video quality, it's your glasses. It's about time you get those new glasses. I always tell my audience, being that I've been doing this for 30 years in the optometry business, which is my real job. This is my my passion. I always tell my patients, I tell my people that if you're 40 and below, get an exam once a year. Once you hit that 40 and presbyopia starts setting in, time for, 40 and below every 2 years. 40 and above, or 41 and above every year. Get an eye exam. Go to www.globaleyeglasses.com. Look at all those frames they have, over 1,200 frames. Plastic, metal, full frame, half frame, no frame at all. Progressives, which are no line bifocal, transitions, photochromatics, and polarized lenses. Thinner lenses, 1.6, 1.67, 1.74, high index, shatterproof lenses, polycarbonate, all available at globaleyeglasses.com. But listen, folks, with my 30 years experience, I have spoken to Global Eyeglasses and I said, listen, being that you are running your commercials on my show, Take Your Life Back Today show, I will make sure that anyone that has a question can always call me at 631-599-0218, and I will help them with a frame questions or lens questions, and that way they get a better idea of what needs to be ordered for a proper fit. And if you do order, after you called me, you can just let me know that you ordered, give me the order number, and I will submit that to globaleyeglasses.com, and they will give a code for free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Go to www.globaleyeglasses.com. Let them focus on saving you money. Folks, today is the 10 most dangerous drugs in the world. There have been any number of studies on what might be the world's most dangerous drugs over the years. A problem many of these have is they focus only on the aspect of what makes them particularly drug harmful. For example, how much damage to society does it cause? Is it dangerous in the long term or short term, or how addictive is it? To really get to grips with this question, all these factors need to be taken into account. But also we need to look at the actual statistics. How many people are actually seriously harmed by these drugs? The first thing to do is to forget any government classification of narcotics. These are party-driven by vested interest, partly by politics, and often out of date with reality on what is in the streets. In this 10 most dangerous illicit drugs that I am going to focus on, the danger the drug presents to the user, I want you to please pay attention, because the first one is ketamine. Ketamine is perhaps the best known as a horse tranquilizer, although it was developed for human use. It was intended to replace PCP, otherwise known as angel dust, as a shorter-lasting anesthetic, and is still used in certain situations. However, there are several side effects that come into play as drugs' effects wear off, most notably hallucination. These usually last for less than 2 hours, along with feelings of detachment, which can be fairly extreme. Ketamine overdoses are potentially fatal, and there is no effective antidote. A patient may need to be put on life support to maintain respiratory function until they can breathe on their own again, hopefully. Possibly the greatest risk to the users of ketamine, though, is the direct psychological effects for the K-hole. Number 2 is amphetamines. It may seem strange, but one of the few legitimate medical uses for the stimulant amphetamine is the treatment of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, otherwise known as ADHD. For the most people, though, the effects of taking amphetamines are feeling energized and confident. There is a risk of addiction, but the evidence is that it is only particularly likely with heavy use. If someone does become addicted, then tolerance grows quickly, requiring ever-increasing doses. Surprisingly, amphetamine overdoses rarely prove fatal, and there is a little evidence to show that they can result in a heart attack, strokes, or other cardiovascular events. What excessive doses can do is effectively change the wiring of the brain, making addiction stronger or more likely. Perhaps the best known and most sinister of the amphetamine side effects is speed psychosis. Number 8 is benzodiazepines. Valium is probably the best known of all prescription sedatives. They were developed partly in an effort to replace barbiturates. These were developed partly to replace barbiturates as an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, otherwise known as whistlers. They are somewhat less likely to result in fatal overdoses. Benzodiazepines are also widely available. This has made them most widely abused class of psychoactive drugs in America. Much of the misuse of benzodiazepines revolve around managing other drug use to make heroin or amphetamine come down more tolerable prices. Whistlers, there is evidence of benzodiazepine addiction alone. Most users seem to have multi-drug problems. Number 7 is methadone. Now it's getting serious, folks. Methadone is an opiate medication. An opiate is sometimes called narcotic. Methadone reduces withdrawal symptoms in the people addicted to heroin or other narcotic drugs without causing the high associated with the drug addiction. Methadone is used as a pain reliever as part of the drug addiction detoxification and maintenance programs, and is only available from certified pharmacists. Barbiturates is number 6. Barbiturates have been around for a long time and were once the drug of choice for American housewives. They are a class of sedatives which were widely prescribed to treat depression, anxiety, and even sleeping problems until the potential dangers were realized in the late 1960s. Since 1970, barbiturates have not been freely available. If they would appear higher up the list. The drug works by depressing the nervous system, which in turn gives the user a feeling of relaxed contentment and even euphoria. They also reduce anxiety and inhibition, somewhat similar to the effects of alcohol. There is no lack of evidence to show the addictive powers of barbiturates, and this is both physical and psychological. In fact, barbiturates withdrawal is one of the most severe and can be very, very fatal. The true danger of barbiturates, though, lies in the ease in which the user can overdose. Next one is tobacco. If anything else killed up to 20% of the population prematurely, then you might expect the government to frown on it. But here we have a highly addictive drug that causes the slow, painful death of millions worldwide, drug that causes the slow, painful death of millions worldwide every year, and it is perfectly legal here and anywhere else in the world. It does make you wonder about the authorities' motivation for controlling other drugs, though. But everybody knows smoking kills you, so why would you even attempt to smoke, folks? Number 4, used to be my choice, alcohol. The fact alcohol is legal in most countries is the main reason it is higher up the list. There's little doubt that alcohol addiction will mess you up. In fact, it is illegal means many can just about hold things together and put on a veneer normality. That is until their lives gives up and everyone close to them leaves, or they also overdose. Number 3 is crystal meth. Methamphetamine, or crystal meth, has actually been around since the 1890s. Its first recorded use was by Nazis in World War II when it was used as stimulant by fighter pilots and tank commanders. The drug then reappeared in the 50s in America as an anti-obesity product. Remember, those diet pills you heard about people getting addicted to? That was crystal meth. These days, crystal meth has very different reputation. If you believe the media, there is a veritable epidemic of crystal meth that has swept across the U.S., turning users into skeletal zombies within a matter of weeks, folks. Although this is certainly not what happens to everyone who tries crystal meth, it is one of the elite class of drugs where there is virtually no bottom to how bad it can get. Sex parties go on for days with people using crystal meth. On the negative side, a direct correlation between high-risk sexual practices and related infection has been seen with crystal meth users. One of the best-known side effects suffered by meth addicts is the drug does to the skin. The drug itself causes skin conditions such as acne, which are compounded by lifestyle and the lack of personal care. This is further compounded by addicts often compulsively and obsessively picking their skin off the face, causing open sores. The chronic tooth decay is a combination of dry mouth and complete lack of oral hygiene when addicts become totally self-neglected. Heroin, number 2, and it is number 1 on Long Island. It was a difficult choice between heroin and crystal meth, but from what I have read, heroin wins out most dangerous drug stakes. There are 3 main reasons for the first, of which heroin is the more dangerous. Taking too much meth might not do you any good, and a lot more difficult to kill yourself with an OD than it would be with using heroin. In fact, it is all too easy to accidentally overdose with heroin. One reason is it doesn't take much, but the main reason is no one has a clue how pure the stuff you get on the street really is. Every set of hands that passes through it gets cut with some sort of dirty white powder. Until that is, one day you get some that is 50 or 60% pure compared to one day's that 30% pure. This might contain 3 or 4 more times the dose that you've been taking, and that's enough to kill you. Then there is the physical withdrawal. Once addicted, kicking the habit is going to involve a whole world of pain. Generally, no worse than the case of flu, this can be more than enough to discourage the addict to try quitting. Of course, stopping using is also going to involve dealing with a psychological addiction too. So heroin is probably the hardest of all drugs to give up. And number 1 on the list is cocaine. Cocaine may be regarded as the champagne of drugs by some, and the price tag reflects that. However, I wouldn't take the price of any of these drugs too seriously. At the end of the day, once you develop a serious addiction to any of the top 3 drugs, which is cocaine, heroin, and crystal meth. It will cost you all your money and probably your soul too. Despite having the status of the celebrity drug of choice, as used by models, rock stars, and Wall Street executives, cocaine is surprisingly a commonplace. One study suggests that 10% of young adults in the U.S. had used cocaine within the last year. 10%, folks. With effects including a sense of euphoria, limitless energy, and godlike feelings. In conclusion, there are some drugs that people can live with, some for a very long time, and some that will kill you very fast. These may be legal or illegal, and how long you live is relatively healthy life on these is somewhat of a lottery. You have a better chance probably of winning lottery than if you abuse any of these drugs consistently every single day and expecting to live. There are, however, some drugs that even if you have all the money in the world and a guarantee of pure source are still going to mess you up, possibly kill you. Take your pick from crack, meth, heroin, alcohol. If you have an addictive personality type, then it probably won't end happily. And I do have an addicted personality. I've learned to live with it. That's the difference. 10, I'm going to go from the 10 down to number 1. Number 10, ketamine. Number 9, amphetamines. Number 8, benzodiazepines. Number 7, methadone. Number 6, barbiturates. Number 5, tobacco, legal. Number 4, legal alcohol. Number 3, crystal meth. Number 2, number 1 here on Long Island, heroin. And number 1, cocaine. These are the 10 most dangerous drugs being used in the world. There have been any number of studies that might be the world's most dangerous drugs over the years. A problem many of these have is they focus on the aspect of what makes the particular drug harmful. For example, how much damage to society does it cause? Is it dangerous in the long term, short term, or dangerous to the addict? To really get grips with this question, all these factors need to be taken into account. But also, we need to look at the actual statistics. How many people are actually seriously harmed by these drugs? The first thing to do is to forget any government classification of narcotics. These are party-driven by vested interests, partly by politics and often out of date, with the reality on the street and the street value. In this, the 10 most dangerous illicit drugs I focused with you folks are heroin, I would say, here on Long Island is the number 1 killer. There is not one person probably that you haven't heard from that has said, I mean, there has been probably one person, I should say, that you have heard that said, I knew somebody that OD'd on heroin. Alcohol and heroin are such killers here on Long Island. Cocaine used to be very well and very much spoken about, but alcohol and heroin is they're killers. And I hope that these 10 that you just read about, that it motivates you enough to do a little research. Google 10 most dangerous drugs. Learn about them. I mean, honestly, drugs will kill you. Alcohol is a drug. I don't care if you're sitting there and say, I don't do drugs. If you drink alcohol abusively, you're doing drugs. Folks, please remember that a sober today promises you a better tomorrow. That I guarantee you. Try to have a blessed day, but more importantly, I wish each and every one of you to try to have a sober rest of your life. And may God bless each and every one of you. God bless you.